Hello, welcome to the Inspirante Education Podcast, where we discuss different topics pertaining to education and career goals, including interviews of different people and discussions about different events occurring in the world today.
My name is Arnav Dixit. I am one of the co-founders and co-presidents of Inspirante Education. I'm a 16-year-old rising junior at Limerick High School. I have a deep passion for computer science, as I hope to pursue my future studies in that field. I'm an active member of the Limerick Varsity Lincoln Douglas team and the Limerick FTC Robotics team. I am keen on giving back to my community, as I've given rise to multiple nonprofit organizations oriented around helping the community around me. Welcome to the Inspirante podcast series. Today we have our guest Saagar Mahadev that we'll be talking to. So how are you doing right now, first of all?
I'm doing pretty well. Things are kind of same old things every day. How about you?
I'm doing okay, catching up with high school. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So I just graduated high school from Monte Vista, and so I'm going to UCLA, and I'm undeclared engineering, but I'm probably going to do computer science. I was in Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. I love like anything outdoors, so like I'm a big sports person. Soccer is my main sport, but like I'll like play football, basketball, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I love watching YouTube, reading, that kind of stuff.
Interesting. What got you into CS?
Um, I don't know. The first time I like learned programming was like in sixth grade. I took a Python course, and then like from there, like I started like working on my own things, and I like did these programs. And like I don't know, I just started like working like in school. Like I took my APCS class, and then I was part of like a lot of CS clubs at school, like C++, and we had this ACSL team, American Computer Science League, that I was part of, and like a lot of my friends were also like engineering like that, and like we all like kind of bonded over that, and like continued my interest in it.
Would you say projects in middle school kind of encouraged you to continue CS through high school?
Yeah, I mean, I like writing code and then like seeing like things like what the code I write come into fruition. Like it was nice to see like I did this and like I'm able to show it off, and like there's like that feeling of like, oh, wow, I did this, and like I can show it off to people, and it was nice. So yeah, I would
Right.
definitely recommend like at least getting some exposure to coding would be like beneficial.
In middle school, were you in any particular club?
Um, I don't think I was in any clubs. Neither was I in any like activity. I don't think so.
So you did Python on your own then, correct? In sixth grade?
Yeah, I took a course and then yeah, I was learning. Like I was just like exploring it on my own.
It's kind of interesting because in Miller and did you go to Kennedy?
Yeah,
Yeah, don't they have robotics clubs or any CS clubs at all?
they do, but I wasn't a part of them.
Why didn't you join those clubs?
I don't know. I was like back then in middle school, I was more like a chill, like enjoying my time, and like I wasn't really involved in that kind of things until like high school.
Yeah. Oftentimes, like in middle school, students just don't like work like that hard as they do in high school. Did you do Boy Scouts in middle school as well?
Yeah, I did.
So how did that kind of carry out through high school? And can you talk about how you maybe developed through Boy Scouts?
Yeah, Boy Scouts I think has in a big way like shaped me into the person I am. Like it teaches you a lot of things like leadership and like time management and organization, and like it also teaches you survival skills and like things like wouldn't like you may not need, but like it's nice to have. And like it also like furthered my passion like for going out like outdoors. Like I love going camping, hiking, and like they give you these like unique experiences that like most people would never experience in their entire life. And like I learned a lot from it, and I think it's helped me like in school. Like so you would have to get leadership positions in Boy Scouts, and it applied in school where I would get leadership positions in the clubs I was in. Like not like when I became a junior, like a senior, like I would get leadership positions there. It's also helped like in like time management and organization, like being committed, and it also teaches you some valuable life skills. Like regarding money, like there's this personal management, like we would teach you about finances, which is going to be very important, like especially when you go to college, like you're going to have to manage your money, like your parents won't be able to do it for you. Also, it's like time management, because like your parents won't be there to like, you do this, like you have to do it yourself, stay self-motivated. And like it definitely helped me and like made me a better person, I would say.
So Boy Scouts has classes about finances.
So there are these things called merit badges, and like these are, I guess you could call them classes, like where you would have to, it's like you have like a counselor and like you would learn about these certain things, and like you would have to meet these requirements, and like once you learn and pass all those requirements, you get like a merit badge. And for Eagle Scout, there's 21 required. So like there's things like you need to learn, like cooking, personal management, personal fitness, communication, things like that are like vital life skills.
Right. So you need these are requirements in order to get that Eagle Scout badge, right?
Yeah, it takes like a lot of time and effort, but it's like well worth it.
So that kind of like forces you to develop, right? Into get more habits and skills necessary in the real world.
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
Right. You spoke about leadership positions in high school. Can you talk a little bit about those?
In my C++ club, I was like these like secretary kind of thing. So like I would be like for sending like emails and like partly like helping creating the content and like the communications part between like the team members and like the actual club participants. In Boy Scouts, there's all these different positions you can do. So there's this thing called Troop Guide, which is like where you teach the younger scouts like the skills that you would need to learn in order to get like Eagle, and so they can advance up. So that was one of the like I would say heavily beneficial positions. There's things like Scribe, so that's where you're in like kind of in charge of like the troop finances. Like everybody has to pay dues, and like you'd be responsible for managing money, that kind of things. There's this thing called Courier Master, which is like where you're in charge of like the troop gear and like for checking it in and out. Oh, another important one was instructor, where like you would teach and during like troop meetings and that kind of thing. And yeah.
Right. Okay. Starting as a student in middle school who didn't do any clubs to getting these leadership positions in high school, how would you describe the overall transition and in terms of your development and in terms of getting adjusted into the new environment from middle school to high school?
I think you need to kind of be a little like, open, like, and be willing to explore. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys all have like club fairs, and like so going there and like signing up, and then like attending the first couple of like meetings, getting to like know it and like see if it like matches your interests. Like, is something you're passionate about? Like going from there. Also just like talking to new people. Like I met a lot of my current friends now, like in high school. Like some from middle school, but also new ones from high school. Like being able to like talk to people, and also like talking to teachers. Like teachers all like, even though they may seem scary, like they all sometimes offer some very valuable advice and do that kind of things. It may be scary at first, but you need to like kind of push yourself outside your comfort zone and like explore a little bit, and like if you trust me, like it'll get better, and like eventually like you'll be comfortable with it.
How about in terms of peer pressure and academics?
Monta Vista was definitely like very academics focused. Like it's like called Berkeley 2.0. So like there's a lot of pressure like to do good. Like, oh, you have to go into like these colleges. Like you have to like go, oh, Ivy League, or like these top tier UCs, or because like there's a lot of pressure for you to succeed. For me, I definitely felt the pressure, but like it was not too bad. Like I was able to handle like under the stress. Like, yeah, a lot of people, like there'd be like a lot of like as a result of this like pressure and like stress to succeed, there would be a lot of like cheating and like that kind of things. But like and it also like forces you kind of to have very good habits, like study habits, like managing your time properly, like not procrastinating. That's a big thing. Like if you wait, like things will pile up. But yeah, like as long if you are able to successfully develop good like study habits, like and like find an effective way of learning, like you should be fine. Yeah.
Would you say that you were more driven in high school than in middle school when you would slack maybe a bit more?
Yeah, definitely. In middle school, like it was like yeah, I would like put effort to get like good grades, but like it was not like oh yeah, it was college like oriented. Like I was like also like time to enjoy. Like high school was definitely like to like get into a good college. Like I was definitely more driven.
Right, right. How'd you deal with was there any stress in like middle school in terms of peer pressure?
I don't think so. I think for me, middle school was like a very fun time, and like I always tell like my younger brother, I told him like, oh, just try to enjoy middle school as much as possible because high school is like about to become much more stressful. So I don't remember any like peer pressure or anything in middle school.
In that district, right? Even I like kind of noticed like there wasn't really much peer pressure. But one thing I did notice is that when I was like in eighth grade and I was going to ninth grade, I kind of had this like I was kind of scared maybe of like high school because I've like heard like a lot of stories that it's really stressful. So what would you maybe advise someone who's scared of the stress or
One like using your resources. So like maybe like your teachers will be a good resource. Like if you're like studying in a class, like going like we had like these tutorials kind of thing, like where you can go and like talk to them and like they can help you. Also, upperclassmen are like really good resource. Like they can tell you like tips and tricks and like advise you on like which like classes or teachers, like that kind of thing. Um, Also like your friend group there, my friend group was like really good and like we kind of pushed each other to like we were always there for each other and yeah, so I think basically making the most of your resources, like your teachers, your upperclassmen, your friends, and like anybody else you might know.
did you ever get a college counselor?
I got a college counselor in June, and yeah, it was from Insight Education.
Oh, it's from junior year. Okay. So in
Yeah,
like freshman and sophomore year, you were kind of alone per se,
yeah,
or not alone, but like just like you didn't have any like professional guidance or anything, right?
yeah.
Okay, okay. What courses did you take in high school?
Yeah, I took APCS, Physics C, Mechanics and E&M, Physics 1. I self-studied Physics 2, Calc BC, Stats, A Push. I think that's it. And like chemistry honors, uh, pre-calc honors. Yeah, I think that's it.
So how did you manage, Boy Scouts and the leadership positions that you were in the clubs along with these APs?
I don't know. I think I just had a very like good study schedule. Like I always managed to sleep by like 11, I would say. And like I think I like personally had like some really I was really good at time managing and like not procrastinating. Um, and and the same thing with like scouts. Uh, I think actually when one of my years in either sophomore or junior year, I kind of like went a little bit away from scouting, like and focused mostly on school. But like yeah, I it was mostly like based like focus like having really good time management and like also making use of during school time, like not just after school, like during school, like when you're in class and stuff, like starting homework then or during tutorials, like that kind of thing. So like it's basically using your time wisely and not like wasting it.
So you were kind of more academic driven then,
Yeah.
and you took time away from Boy Scouts as well, right?
I didn't like just stop doing Boy Scouts. I just like didn't like put much like as much time as I like did like in freshman year. Like then I came back to it. I think I took the like stopped a little bit like during sophomore year and I came back to it again junior year.
So is the key really just having a fixed schedule every day?
I don't think so because like you don't know like how much homework you'll get every day. It's kind of like being flexible and like just like instead of procrastinating and like, oh yeah, I'm going to like if you just wait on the essay, but then like in another class you might get like another like an A plus project assigned. Like then like it'll get piled up at the end and it'll cause you a lot of stress. So, like kind of just like finishing it like right away, like and like not waiting later will like help relieve the stress and like you don't have to worry about it later.
Right. How about the clubs? Did you like take time away from that as well?
No, clubs were like they were like all like during school, right? So I it was just like attending during lunch or like brunch and like so I didn't really take away time from that.
Oh, so it wasn't that much work then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How about AP exams? How did you study for those effectively?
For the APCS, our teachers were really good, so I don't think I really studied outside of the class for it. Like it was all just whatever we did in class. In junior year, I kind of did like a 2 week cram, like starting from like at whatever like spring break or whatever up till like whenever the AP tests were in May. So like in those 2 to 3 weeks, like I like grinded, like just slowly like kind of focused on that.
What did you say that the 2 week cram session? Was that like intended or was that accidental?
I would say it's a mix of both. It was a little bit of procrastination, but like it was fine for me. Like I didn't think I needed to study that much, and like plus like even though I wasn't studying, like I had looked up resources beforehand, like so I could just like go through them. And so like a lot of the resources I use, like they can be found like on Reddit or like YouTube. Like for like physics and stuff, I like watched a lot of organic chemistry tutor and I forgot the other guy's name, but like yeah, a lot of it, like you can find a lot of practice tests on Reddit and like there are a lot of good resources. So yeah.
You said you took physics too, right? Did you take physics honors?
We don't have physics honors. It's just AP Physics 1.
Oh, do you have AP Physics 1 directly then, right?
Yeah.
So you took that in junior year?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. How about the ones that you self-studied for? How'd you kind of do that instead of use your class resources? Like, how's that different?
Um, the only one I self-studied was Physics 2. For that one, I honestly didn't study that much. I was only towards like I think starting from March I started studying. I think I bought a Barron's book for it and like started grinding that. Also grinding I think also organic chemistry tutor and then just taking practice tests that I found like on like Reddit and yeah, that's what I did.
How about Khan Academy? I hear that's a popular resource.
I don't know if I use Khan Academy. I think I may have, but I don't remember using it too much.
Right, right. So just organic chemistry tutor and Barron's book helped you?
Yeah. There's some
Okay,
other
okay.
YouTube channels, but I don't remember what they're called.
How about standardized testing, SATs, ACTs? Did you take any subject tests?
Yeah, I took math and physics.
Okay, how would you study for them?
For math too, I did not study at all. I just took it after my pre-calc class, like literally the day after pre-calc ended. And like I just like the day before I like did like one or two practice tests. And for physics, same thing. Like after physics 1, I like the week before the test date, I just like did some practice tests. And
So you didn't really study for those, right?
no, not really.
Right. So was there any on the physics one, isn't it kind of hard to predict the concepts that are going to be on there? Because I heard that like, like studying for the SAT physics exam is kind of like difficult.
I don't know. I think since I knew all the content because I did physics 1 and physics 2, so like I didn't have anything extra to study from like that was not covered in physics 1. And so like I had like a good grasp on all the content. So I don't know. Like I think it was fine for me. I don't remember if
Wait,
there's like
oh, because you had physics 1 and 2 both, right? So it wasn't that bad?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All
And
right.
since I had
How about
studied for AP tests right beforehand, like it was still kind of like everything was
you
fresh.
had, you had, you had APs before and you like prioritized that instead
Yeah, I had the AP test in May and then I took the subject test in June
for math
for
or physics?
physics.
Oh, physics. How about math? What month did you take that in?
I also took that in June, but it was after sophomore year instead of after junior.
Okay, okay. How about SATs and ACTs? Did you take any of those?
Yeah, so I took both. For me, I personally liked ACT better. Because, because I think the ACT, like for me, like so ACT, the reading and writing is easier, but the math is harder compared to the SAT. And that for me was like fine because like I know I trust my math skills, so I got a 36 on math. But on reading and writing, like my reading and writing skills are definitely not as good as my math. So I wanted like easier reading and writing, and prefer like having a time crunch. So that's why I prefer the ACT. On SAT, I took it twice. I got 1540 at the end. 1550 is a super score. Yeah, for me, I don't know. I couldn't like my reading scores always like fluctuated. Like my writing scores were fine and my math scores were fine, but reading scores they fluctuated. Like it go from like anywhere from ACT. Like I think I only studied for like 2 weeks or so, like getting more used to the format and the time crunch and like managing the time during the test. Because like the content of books like pretty much similar. Like I didn't really study for math because I trusted my abilities. But like reading and writing, I like was getting used to the time like management.
Do you remember any particular strategies that worked for you when you took the test?
For reading, I didn't like I tried not reading the passage, but mostly like skimming it, like finding the important details. And then if I look at a question and like I didn't like if I knew I was going to need time to think, I would skip it and like answer all the questions I like knew in that passage, and then come back to it like at the like come back to it after I finished all those questions. Um, I was trying this technique that I read from. There's this book that I was using, Erica Meltzer, I think, SAT reading and writing book or something like that. And they were like something like underlining or like circling. That I tried that thing, but it didn't really work for me. As I think the most important thing for me was like trying to skim, get them like information, like the most important details, and go from there. And also, I tried doing this. The science passages for me were the easiest. So I would go skip to those passages first, and then do the lit passage, and then do the history passage last because I always found the history passage the hardest. Uh, uh, yeah, so that's what I did for SAT. For ACT, same thing. Since it was time crunch, I skimmed a lot. Oh, one thing is when they have like they have a reference to like a quote or something, like and they give you the line where like you want the context, like 2 lines before it and then 2 lines after it, so you know what's happening. So that way, like when you skim, like even though you may not have read it, like when you get the context, like you have a better idea of like what the question is asking and answering it. That's all I remember off the top of my head.
You took both exams, so how would you say one should decide whether to take the SAT or the ACT in the beginning?
So one thing, obviously, there's a big difference is time, like the amount of time you get. If you're a person that like get stressed under time, I would definitely recommend the SAT because you have more time versus the ACT. But if you're like me, where like time is not really that big of a factor, and like I wanted like I knew that the reading and writing was easier on the ACT. I decided to go with that because for me, like I trusted my math skills, so I didn't really worry about that, and I just wanted easier reading and writing.
Did you ever take a diagnostic in the beginning? Because I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends, they took a diagnostic in the beginning to decide.
I did take a diagnostic for both. But like, so since I took SAT first, and like I wasn't that happy with my score, so I decided to try ACT. Um, but if you converted my both my diagnostic score into like one thing, they're about the same. So it didn't like really.
So it didn't really
I
affect you.
just wanted to see if I could do better on the ACT or not.
Yeah. So then you did some research maybe on the SAT and ACT, and that maybe helped you.
Yeah, there were a lot of resources on Reddit, like on r/SAT. There was like a post like with that had a link to a bunch of practice tests, like a bunch of practice tests. So I did a lot of those, and like
On Reddit,
yeah, on r/SAT.
r/SAT. Yeah. Um, that definitely sounds like a useful tool. Now, did you do anything in the middle, but in the summers, in high school between your school years?
Yes, after summer of ninth grade, I didn't do anything. After summer of 10th grade, I did this engineering program at Johns Hopkins called Engineering Innovation. And then after junior year, I did this engineering program called Blue Stamp, where I built a smart mirror. So it's like a mirror, but like it has like a computer built behind it. And so like it's like instead of having to like look at my phone, I just like when I'm getting ready, I can look at that and like it shows like time, date, my calendar, some notifications, like news, that kind of thing. And like it has voice control and motion sensor. So if you're not in front, it'll turn the mirror off. I took a class at Dianza, discrete math. And yeah, and this summer I'm not doing anything. It's a chill summer.
So could you maybe talk a little bit about your last summer experience at John Hopkins?
Yeah, so that one was like when I was still exploring, like I was not set on CS at that point. It was like still I knew I was going to go into STEM, but like I didn't know what to do. So that that program was for more exploring like which type of engineering I wanted to do. And so like I like it would you did like all these different projects that were like geared towards a specific like type of engineering in that. Um and then this past summer, this past summer, last summer, I had decided for CS, and so like this is like one of the like major CS projects I worked on. Um, it's in JavaScript and Python, so yeah, I would definitely recommend this program. Like, so it's called Blue Stamp Engineering. Um, it's a project, so you basically choose a project that you want to do, and then like they and this like they provide you with like the materials and stuff, and like there are mentors and things. Like these are people who are like in college already, or like all, that are already have jobs and like that are in like CS or like engineering that like teach you and help you, and like they also have like industry members come and speak to you about things, um, and like that kind of thing. I found this program more useful than the Johns Hopkins one, like because it gave me a lot of hands-on experience, like confirmed I definitely wanted to go into CS.
Would you say it was mainly you doing the work and they're just there to help you, or how's the guidance like there in Blue Stamp?
Uh, I, I don't think I needed that much guidance. Like, I was able to do a lot of it on myself. But like, if I did have the questions, they were definitely able to answer it. And I learned a lot of things that like I would definitely wouldn't have learned from like being a high school student. Like there's some CS concepts like lambda functions I learned from one of them, who's a who's a student at Columbia University. So like they were definitely very knowledgeable and like provided like a lot of insight into things that like I wouldn't have known by myself. Like they were definitely would help you along the way.
And how about the last summer, the sophomore summer experience? So what was that program about? Was it just exploratory?
Yeah, it was more exploratory, like exploring which types of engineering. That was like why I decided to do it, just to see like get a taste and see which one is more for me.
Right. Also, you worked on projects on your own, correct?
Yeah.
So what was your motivation really to like work on these projects and to keep on like exploring into CS more?
Um, it was more like just me interested in seeing like what I want to do and like just playing around with things. Like I got myself an Arduino kit and I was like just playing around with like the LEDs and stuff and that kind of things. And then I learned of web scraping. So I'm like, I want to try this. And so I built a web scraping tool in Python that scrapes Apple's website because I'm also a big like Apple like tech geeky. So like that kind of, it was just me like playing around and like trying new things and seeing what I liked and didn't like.
So would you say maybe courses helped you, like courses on online courses got you into learning new languages? How would you say you learn new languages in your free time?
Um, I took a Udemy course for HTML and CSS. And I was actually able to apply it towards I was able to work with the UCSD professor to build a website and a website called SASI South Asian Study Initiative, I think. Um, that's where so that kind of like helped me learn my HTML and CSS and like a little bit of JavaScript skills. Um, but for me, a lot of it was in Java because our APCS course was in Java, so I learned a lot of stuff in there and kind of expanding on like the projects we did in class. That and then, but like for me, my favorite language is Python. So a lot of like things I like Python for me was like very simple and like easy to learn and like easy to write. So like, and there are a lot of things you can do with Python. So yeah, I just explored and yeah.
When did you do your research with the UCSC professor?
It was not more of a research, but it was more like a working on a team. So just to be clear, it was not research. It was like building a website like with them for like their like that UCSC's professors organization. And I did it end of first sem and beginning of second sem junior year.
How did you find this professor?
Uh, it was actually so it was through her student, um, through which it was like my mom's like friend's daughter
Oh,
that was the student, and so yeah, so like,
okay.
yeah.
So would you say this kind of helped you get into web development a bit more?
Yeah, definitely. Also like hackathons. Like I did a couple of hackathons with my friends and like that kind of things where we were just able to like have fun and like build these things. It was like they also helped with like cementing that I want to go into CS.
A lot of hackathons that I noticed, I see they're like they say, oh, you don't need no coding, but then you definitely have a disadvantage if you don't know coding and you're attending these hackathons. So that's kind of concerning,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. There are like a lot of good courses on YouTube, I think. Like there's this channel called Free Code Camp, I think, that has some really good courses for like teaching you like whatever, like whichever languages you want, or like some certain frameworks, that kind of things that I found like really useful. That I've been like going through right now during the summer.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Heading into your senior year, you had to think about attending colleges. So how's the application like for that in that process?
So I started the college application process end of second sem, like at the beginning of summer, basically. Like so I had the college counsel, my college counselor, right? And they were like, they told me I had to get started on as soon as possible. So basically, I had like my personal statement, my UC essays, all done by like end of summer, and so that way I could focus on just like the supplementals that like such specific colleges will have. And like also a lot of them like they have similar prompts, so you can kind of copy paste and like modify it a little bit. And yeah, and like one important thing that you have to focus on is like the why the school essays, right? Because like you want to show that you really want to go into the school and like why the school is perfect for you. So like doing a lot of research and like not only like listing, oh yeah, I want to go to the school because they have like oh a wonderful CS program. You gotta like connect it to like why it's going to like help you with your goals and like in like your career, like in your life, that kind of thing. So like, put a lot
How
of
do you
effort and emphasis on the why school essays.
how did you manage to, sum up your high school experiences in just one essay and just in the essay and in the questions that they ask? Because that's surely a lot.
Yeah. So a lot of the essays, like it was kind of like mixing and matching. So like each essay, like I would kind of try to focus on one like things. Like well, one of them I would like focus on like my soccer. One of them I would focus like on scouts, and like one I would focus like on like volunteering or like, community service. So that way we would have like a nice balance, and like it would try to show that I'm like a like good, well-rounded application.
So there are different essays, and in each essay you have your activity that you put in, or how does it work?
So like all these different prompts, like one might ask you like, oh, what's like one way you like shown like community service, or like what's one person that's like influenced you, that kind of thing. And so like in those essays I try to like show like different aspects of me. Like you have to kind of choose like, oh okay, if I'm going to do this for this essay, for this prompt, I'm going to show my like my community service aspect of it. So you kind of have to like try your best to show all the different parts of you and like show that you're like a well-rounded applicant. And yeah.
And you can choose your prompts, right?
For some schools, they're set. For the UCs, they have 8 prompts, which you have to choose 4 from. For personal statement, you have 8 prompts, I think, and you have to choose one of them to write about. The personal statement is big, right? Because that's like the main essay for your Common App that like you will send to a lot of schools. Um, but yeah, some of them they have flexibility for allowing you to choose which like prompts you want, and some of them like they're kind of fixed already.
Yeah, it kind of seems like there's a variety of like ways in which you can express your experiences. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How'd you manage this in senior year along with the other work you had from your APs in school?
So for me, it was a good thing. I finished like a majority of it during summer. So, like it didn't put as much stress as um like I that there could have been like if I had procrastinated on it. Um, Also personally, I found my college counselor like very helpful, like in like writing these and like modifying these essays and like finding good topics to write about. Um, so yeah, I would suggest start as possible at your college essays. Like I know somebody who started in their first semester of junior for their essays. So starting early is always better. So that way you don't have the stress later.
Right. So the key was at least starting early, so you didn't have much to do later on, right?
Yeah. I think another helpful tip might be like just started jotting down like the things like you might want, like possible essay topics or like things you've done like throughout high school, and like so that way you'll have a list when it's actually time, and like you can start writing it out. And like one other thing is just write down whatever you have on your mind and just make them all into essays. So you may have more, like you may have 10 essays, even though they're only like 3 essay prompts. So that way you can pick and choose and modify accordingly. So that way you can like have the best like essay for your possible.
So by writing by what's on your mind right now, do you mean that like bullet points maybe or notes?
Yeah, like no matter how small you think it is, just put it down on paper and like just write whatever you think, like no matter what, like no matter how
Yeah.
small or how big or like whatever it is.
What's your plan for college next year? How are you gonna get ready for that, especially since it's gonna be online?
So I got offered housing at LA, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to go, but like it will still be like online learning, except just at LA. For me, my goal is to get an internship next summer. So that's what my focus this summer has been, like kind of like learning all the necessary stuff I need to like data structures, all the data structures and algorithms, that kind of thing. And then also like I want to maintain a good GPA. So I already know which courses I'm taking. So I found resources for all of them already, and like have been kind of going through them, and like so I can prepare myself ahead of time, so that way I can like get the grades I need and want.
Would you say you're kind of relaxing now that you're in UCLA?
I'm relaxed, but like also I'm not super like relaxed because like I really want to get an internship next summer. That's my next goal. Like before it was like getting into a good college, now it's like getting the internship.
In your second semester of senior year, would you say you were kind of like that, or were you more relaxed?
Second semester was definitely more relaxed, but it was also because like quarantine started, right? So like basically I consider school ended like back in March because like online learning was, in my opinion, a joke. But like yeah, it was definitely more relaxed. And then once like summer officially started, like in June or whatever, I started like being driven towards this goal now.
Right. Yeah. It must be really interesting for you on this. So, yeah. Good luck in UCLA. Any
Yeah,
advice
thank you.
or tips? Like any final pieces of advice you'd like to give?
Make use of your resources like fully. So like your teachers, your fellow students, upperclassmen, that kind of thing. Also, there are a lot of good online resources. Like I think Reddit is like the best place for looking for resources. Like they have so much information on there, so that you can find on with a quick Google search. Um, make like if you're struggling in the class or anything, make sure you like go to your teacher and like don't wait, and like be like that's kind of one thing I did, like coming in from middle school to high school. I would say I had a cocky attitude. So like I'm like, oh, it's not going to be that hard. But like you don't want to be like that. You want to be like, oh, I want to go get my teacher's help so they can help me succeed, kind of thing. So that way like you don't maybe like get like you don't like fail the class or like not get the grade you want. Join a lot of like clubs, like explore what you want to do. And like once you find that, like stay in those clubs and like apply for leadership positions when they're like sophomore, junior, senior year. If you're like going towards STEM, like there's all these like competitions that you can do. Like for CS, I know there's like UCLA and the American Computer Science League, and like for physics, there's the UCFO and like F equals MA and like Science Olympiad and all that kind of thing. So like try to get involved, but like also make sure like you're doing things you enjoy and like not only things for college. Like I may try still do soccer because like I love soccer. I was in scouts like because I love going camping. Like so try to kind of have like a good balance, and like try to focus on developing your study skills because that will play a big part. Like not only in high school but in college and maybe into like when you're getting to your career.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Saagar.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Follow Inspirante as well at Inspirante_education. And follow our podcast on Spotify at Inspirante Education. Thank you for listening. See you on our next podcast coming soon.